Hello, welcome to Nerd News Now for March 8th, 2020. Got Miss Jen, Kyle, and Rainey
2021.
with me. Um, is
Yeah,
it
Mark,
though?
you just capped us all a year.
Is it though? I don't know if you've heard,
Yeah.
but well, is it? I mean, if you're in Texas, it doesn't matter.
No.
I mean, I get that's fine. We can. It's 2021, but my brain obviously is just stuck anyway. Um, but how's it going not in Texas? Like Kyle, what's it like there? What's going on?
Today is one of those. So we get these days in March and sometimes in February and in early April, though, where it's winter starts to screw with you. Which is you'll get a couple of days where it's in the 60s and 70s. And you're like, yay, winter's over. And then they're like, nah, it's going to be 25 this weekend. Like, so you'll get 50 and 60-degree weather swings in a couple of days, which is super fun. So we're going through one of those right now. But yeah, I mean, normal for this part of the world, I guess.
And Miss Jen can attest to this, but you just described like the last 2 weeks. So, I mean, hey, like it's pretty extreme this week with the winter apocalypse or whatever. But Texas does that too, where we have 40-degree swings, and it's like you wake up at 5, and yeah. I know it's different,
But your 40-degree swings are like from like 40 to 80. Ours are from like -7 to 60. Like,
except for the winter apocalypse. But yes, generally, the weather's been much kinder this week for sure. And I would
I've
even say,
decided if I lived in Texas, I would wear shorts all year because it
yeah.
never gets cold enough there for me to stop.
Mhm.
It might have been cold for you 2 weeks ago. I don't know. No, okay, whatever. Brainy, what about you? What's it like over there?
um, so compared to you guys, let me just say, on my drive home, I saw a guy driving in a convertible with the top down. So I'll leave it at that.
Well, that happened to me here today coming home from work because like it has been nice like the last 5 days.
Yeah, I mean it's. See, you guys get seasons. We get seasons per day. It's freezing cold in the morning for us. Come around 9, 10 o'clock, and it's like 70s, and and by the time it's 10 p.m., we're back in the 30s and stuff. But we're all at home, sitting in our nice, comfortable, heated houses and everything. So, um, compared to the rest of the nation, we're living large as far as the weather is concerned. Now, when it gets down to the other stuff, we have our own issues.
And we also have a lot of midlife crisis here too. So there's tons of.
Oh yeah, today would have been a day where if you went out for the first time all year, there are dudes on motorcycles,
Yeah.
but they're still having to contend with like salt on the side of the roads and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Been like, that doesn't seem safe, but you do you, bro.
Mhm.
And then Miss Jen, we're both in Texas, so I know what your weather was like. But how's your week starting so far?
It's really good. I like it when we have weather like this because it's nice. I usually go and pick up my son from school at about 2:30 in the afternoon. And so it's my one time to pop my head outside during the day, kind of feel like a little gopher or whatever. And I'm out and I'm back. So I go drop him off at the house and then I come back to the store. But yeah, when I drive that, if it's gross outside, it's raining or whatever, then I just don't ever get to see the sun. So, hence my, skin tone. At least there's hope of getting one tan arm as I stick my arm out of the truck window if it's nice outside.
There should be. I mean, it's probably we're almost to that point where it's just not going to stop being hot, right? I mean, we're getting there where we have like August heat in March. It'll be no time flat. But as far as what I mean, I'm talking about the weather because there's not much going on. That's basically it.
Wait, what?
Oh, really? I got all kinds of notes.
I know there's a lot
Alright.
going on.
So no, there's always something going on. Did anyone try to watch Tom and Jerry in the last 2 hours?
Oh, in the last 2 hours?
Yeah.
No, but I watched it last week.
So I would like to hear your thought on that, but breaking news in the last 2 hours, if you tried to watch Tom and Jerry, the Zack Snyder's Justice League cut came up.
All right, hold on.
And Twitter was
leaving
all
now.
place. Now they said, oh, this was only occurred for a period of 5 minutes and we resolved it. So one, if that happened to you, would you be upset that you weren't seeing Tom and Jerry, or would you be upset that you weren't seeing the Zack Snyder cut of Tom and Jerry? And Kyle, I'll let you
I would
start.
be upset that I am seeing the so just in the last 30 seconds it changed on my HBO Max. It was Tom and Jerry was right here. But let's just see what happens when I put it on the TV.
Now,
Why not test
curious
this
about
now,
this.
but
I'm
course-
curious about the Snyder cut of Tom and Jerry. Forget everything else.
I want to see that.
Well,
too.
it takes 6 years to come out, Brainy.
Yeah.
Well, he's had what 50 years to work on Tom and Jerry, so
hmm
So, but Kyle, do you have feelings about Tom and Jerry, the movie? And anyone?
I lost you guys
else?
for a second there. But I loved it. I thought it was great.
I haven't had a chance.
seen it.
I have not seen it yet, but it's something I got to do this week. So
I want to watch.
Okay. Can confirm it's playing Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, now. But 2 hours ago, it was not. Allegedly.
somebody on the internet's got footage.
Probably.
Oh, I'm sure, but like now I'm like, do I stay on Nerd News Now or do I just watch Tom and Jerry? Because I bothered to put it on. So
There's a pause button. It's an amazing technology where you can just.
But I have ADHD, Brainy. I'll start wanting to watch it. I love Tom and Jerry. I thought it was the right mix of live action versus animation. I thought it was the best mixed movie since Roger Rabbit.
Wow.
Wow, really? Okay.
In terms of that kind of style where it's super cartoony animation versus not. Like there have been other movies that were better animated like that were good mixed movies, but this was kind of, that very far extreme.
Was it traditional animation or is it CGI?
It's I would imagine from watching it, it's traditional. Is what it feels like. Now, whether they CGI'd it and made it look that way, I don't. CGI at this point, I have a hard time telling sometimes.
Absolutely.
But to me, it really did feel like that whole, okay, there's a cell over traditional film, So I quite enjoyed it.
Speaking, since you made a great segue without knowing it here. Speaking of a mixed live animation movie /series /sequel.
I forgot about Space Jam.
Real quick. Let me go around real quick and ask Miss Jen, who's your favorite Looney Tunes character?
Oh gosh, this is not fair. It's gotta be the Wile E. Coyote.
Okay, Kyle, who's your favorite Looney Tunes character?
From Hanna-Barbera, it's Snagglepuss. From Looney Tunes, it's probably Marvin the Martian.
Okay, and Brainy, same question.
Now, are we including the Tiny Toons?
Sure.
That's a tough one.
See, if we're including all of the WB animation family, it's the Animaniacs. But if you're talking just Looney Tunes, it's...
Well, Looney Tunes, I mean, Animaniacs weren't technically Looney Tunes, so if it's
right,
just
but
Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes are now part of the Warner Brothers animation family.
I would still go for Taz.
Okay.
Taz is still... Yeah.
I really do enjoy the deep dive attempt, but my question was answered very simply. No one said Pepe Le Pew, and there's a lot of outrage about Pepe Le Pew being canceled from Space Jam, but you can't be canceled if if your scene wasn't drawn yet. Now, there's go ahead, go ahead.
The story I read said the scene was done, but it was
Yes,
cut when they changed directors.
the live action was shot, and it's not going to be what people think. It wasn't complete, or it wasn't done, not because of that it was going to be, controversial, but because he was actually going to get his comeuppance. But then they decided at the end just to the character is problematic altogether. So some people are actually now upset that there's not going to be a 60-year resolution to that whole character. So
Well,
I can see it going either way. But
my
the
problem
point,
with it is this: he was in the first movie.
right?
Gotta have him in the second movie.
You don't have to.
You do. Like, I think Muggsy Bogues should be in this movie. You can't
Well,
convince
yeah.
Muggsy Bogues shouldn't be in this movie. He was in the first one. He should be in this one.
Are you sure that he's not though?
Well, that's fair. But you know what I'm saying? Like, even if he's just playing somebody who they're claiming is a old man, like, great, no problem. But he should be in the movie. Same with Pepe Le Pew. Even if he's just sitting in the stands going, "I remember when that was me," he should be in the movie.
And that's fine.
He doesn't have to have a
I
real role.
think that maybe it would have been good to have a scene kind of condemning his behavior, but at the same time, if you just wanted to do away with it altogether, it's
Yeah, but what does that have to do with basketball?
huh?
What does that have to do with basketball? Like, it's a
With animated
basketball movie.
characters.
Like, you could put him in the movie and not have to deal with his behavior. This is not a movie about, Looney Tunes gone bad.
Right.
That would be Roger Rabbit. Like, let's if we're gonna deal with it, let's deal with that. But this is not that. This is a movie about Looney Tunes playing basketball. So let him be in the movie, and we could ignore the problematic part of it because that's not what it's about.
Well, it's still a movie and a cartoon, but I mean, they're going to be doing stuff other than playing basketball. Most likely, there's going to be a storyline to it.
There wasn't to the first one.
I mean, no, but I the first one was now very scary to watch.
Well, Bill Murray's performance was always a little scary.
Well, it's just that on the day that Space Jam was released on home VHS is the day the pandemic broke out, which is where they went at halftime to stop the Utah Jazz game, and then you have that scene of the mayor running out of the Coliseum, canceling the season to protect his players. Pandemic. Anyway, Miss Jen, what do you think about all that?
I don't know. I think if we go back and remove all of the characters that misbehaved in the past, it doesn't mean that we're dealing with the fact that we need to change our behavior now. It just means we're like getting rid of things that make us uncomfortable. So I don't know. I think there's better ways, more healthy ways to deal with things like that. I think they
Yeah.
can be used as like life lesson things. When you look at those and you say, all right, kids, what would we never allow now that you're seeing on the screen then? There was a bunch of stuff. If you go back and look at Looney Tunes, even when I looked at it from a mom's eye when I was watching it with the kids, there's so much stuff that they put in there that's clearly for adults to enjoy and to have tongue in cheek about that the kids don't get. If you did it now the way that none of the Looney Tunes would exist at all. Honestly,
Sure.
so
Well, and like I'm having a thought, like if we're gonna deal with Pepe Le Pew's problems, do we not also have to deal with Wile E. Coyote's reckless spending habits with the Acme Explosive Company? Like that's a guy who is clearly in financial turmoil and is in some sort of mental breakdown. Like, are we not going to deal with that? And are we not going to deal with the fact that Elmer Fudd is devoting his entire life to killing one animal? Not like hunting as a whole, but killing one animal. And how Bugs Bunny is a rampant narcissist and all of these other, like, are we not going to deal with all of these? But no, we're just going to pick Pepe Le Pew and deal with that. That's that if we want to deal with all of these, I would love to see the Looney Tunes in therapy. I think that'd be hysterical. But we don't want to do that. We just want Pepe Le Pew to get slapped around in a deleted scene in Space Jam.
I just don't know how many people are in Pepe Le Pew fan clubs. That's kind of what my thing was. Is like these stories seem to come out, and then, like you said, you can either way. I think Turner Classic Movies handles this whole situation very well, where they have a sort of like a roundtable discussion before and after a movie that is now deemed to be problematic, and they talk it out. So
That's what I like.
Disney Plus has had, and I understand they still have them put a little disclaimer on the front of like episodes of like the Muppet Show or whatever, where there's, hey, this thing might be semi-problematic now, but in 1975, that's not how we felt about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
yeah,
that's fine.
they still do that because the Muppet Show was just recently put on there. So
Well,
doing,
that's where I saw it for the first time. I don't know if they've done it on all of their properties.
yeah, they do that.
Right.
But also, does anyone have any strong thoughts about Space Jam 2 as a whole?
Who's gonna sing the song about believing they can fly?
I don't know. I don't know what song is taking place. Oh, go ahead, Brainy.
No, I don't want to get into that one. That's
Yeah.
Or is someone going to write an equally earwormy song? Like when that song hit, like everyone was humming it for a long time. That song was just in your brain.
Even
So
to
if
this
you're gonna,
day, that
right,
song still, you take it away from the singer, that song is still a great song.
right, it's still a jam.
Yep.
Like, so somebody else has got to write an equally jammy song for this movie. Oh, and by the way, LeBron James probably should learn how to act before they like made the movie.
Kyle, you actually bring up an interesting point about the music and TV and movies back in the 90s. Nowadays we've gotten so much into the concept of just fast forwarding through the intros of every TV show. And I started watching DuckTales again, and I still sit through the intro of DuckTales. Every single episode, I'm sitting, same thing with Tailspin. I sit through it because they put the time and effort and real talent. I mean, like, they brought in musicians to do those, into making those intros, where they're very interesting still to this day. And most of the intros I watch on TV, hey, skip intro, skip intro, skip intro. But you raise a good point where they do need good music to go with that movie.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest things with the original was that one song.
Well, and that era was just a monster for movie songs, right? You had that, and you had the song from Titanic, and like every big hit movie came with this song that went to #1 and was there forever.
Yep, mm-hmm. Bodyguard had it. Boomerang had End of the Road. So yeah, you're right.
But just to throw one at you for DuckTales, shout out to Suburban Legends, who have the greatest cover of the DuckTales theme ever.
I'm sure I've heard it, but I gotta hear it again too.
It's the punk cover. It sounds like Green Day singing the DuckTales theme.
My favorite intro that still gives me the same emotional hit as it did way back when is the X-Men '92 lead-in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's the ringtone to our phone at the store. Mm-hmm. So anytime somebody calls, it's
mm-hmm. Yep. And my head always screams out, "To me, my X-Men."
I had that reaction with dinosaurs.
Oh my god.
I was rewatching it, and it's, I didn't remember any of the scenes, any of the show, but when the theme song hit, I had the most vivid memories of, like, I could remember the couch we had that I sat on to watch it, and the carpet and the TV, like, vivid memories of it just because of that song. And it's that song, and it's like the theme song to Family Matters. These shows I watched coming up, and it's just the most visceral reaction.
Yep.
Do you have one, Mark, that, like, Like it goes right into your soul when it starts.
Well, I've got MASH, the
Mhm.
MASH, the sitcom. I used to watch that with my dad and my brother. I've seen every episode 5 times. Um, I still think that there's an art to the opening credits. I think Legion did a wonderful job for a recent one. If you go back 8, 9, 10 years now, The Wire, phenomenal because each season had a different cover of the same song. And you just seem to get like more out of it as the season goes on. And then you have, I think right now, musically maybe not so much, but viscerally, Doom Patrol phenomenal because they actually put new images as the season goes on, and you got pick up on little things like, oh, that's Robot Man's brain in that jar, or there's a puzzle piece that represents something that Crazy Kane's going through. And so to that end, I still like for dramas, I think intros, but for sitcoms, I mean, it's like all you really need is like a 5 second riff, and you're good. I started watching Punky Brewster on Kyle's recommendation, but I tell you, before I started watching it, I immediately found the refrigerator episode, and I just had to watch it. And what was really disappointing about it, they did not play the PSA afterwards, and it was almost just like infuriating.
But Mark, when you started watching it, did you go out to like Spotify or whatever and find Every Time I Turn Around, like the theme song from Punky Rooster, and like listen to it?
No, I didn't.
Okay, because that's another one of those ones that visceral like memories. Like I can remember my grandmother's carpet and sitting on her floor watching that show.
Yeah,
Like vivid memories. And
That's
it's not the same theme now. It is, but it's not. You know, it's
right. Yeah,
so I had to go back and find the original and re-listen to it just to get that.
and I know a lot of people did not care for the new Saved by the Bell theme, but I love it because it's really campy and silly, and I think it fits what the show in 2020 was trying to do as an homage to the 90s series.
I still haven't watched it.
It's really
Um,
good.
But speaking of Peacock, we got some big news today from Peacock. WWE Network joins Peacock on the 18th, so 10 days. They finally gave us a date as to when the two were merging. So wrestling fans rejoice! You can now watch Punky Brewster and People Take a Steel Chair to the Brain in the same place.
Yeah.
still not enough for me to pay for another service.
And I don't know how it's going to work because I have the WWE Network, and in fact, I think my bill date just came up, so that was renewed. And it's like, well, how is this going to work? Because they're not very. All these app services are not very customer friendly about rolling things over to the next thing. So it seems like you're going to be able to still have a subscription to a standalone WWE Network, right?
I don't know. I don't have a subscription to the network anymore. I canceled mine about a month ago.
Uh,
Just because I knew this was coming, and then I paid for Peacock, so it's like I went net zero on this deal. Um, but yeah, I have no idea what's going to happen.
no, that was a big merger that was announced. I think it, kind of ties into NBC was really trying to make a push with different types of sports a while back in the NBC Sports Network. And now that you have all these streaming services competing against each other, I think you're going to see this happen again. I don't know where AEW stands on all this because it kind of seems like they could go find a streaming partner as
They
well.
have one.
Well, what is it? Because like every time I want to watch a AEW pay per view, it's like $49.99.
Yeah, no, that's it's Bleacher Report Live.
Oh, well, but where's the kind where it's like $8.99 a month and I can watch all of it?
Whoever winds up with the Turner streaming service, so probably
Okay,
Paramount
Yeah, Paramount they just launched it this week, last week, something like that.
this week.
Yeah.
It'll probably wind up being Paramount.
there's a lot of stuff. Um, are there any streaming services that you guys miss? that have not made it along this in this battle, the prelude to the streaming wars, as I call it.
Well, not really. Interestingly enough, it's no different than it used to be watching old cable TV, where you subscribe to different packages. So it just depends on which package you want now.
I think who's really going to get hurt is Sling, the a la carte cable.
Are they going to get hurt? I mean, they're
only
going
just
to.
because I could spend the money for Sling and get their a la carte cable and get a lot of the stuff I get from streaming services, or I could just get the streaming services. Like, it's one of those. I think those are the things that are going to get hurt, is these people who are trying to provide an alternative to traditional cable.
Isn't Sling owned by AT&T, or is that DirecTV? That's DirecTV, isn't it?
Yeah, no, DirecTV and AT&T have their own thing, but yeah.
Yeah, who owns Dish Network now?
I have no idea.
Because that's what Sling is, basically. I'm curious. I forgot who owns them.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, it's those guys who are like, come to our website, subscribe to our thing. It's an alternative to cable. You can stream it on your TV.
Oh.
I think those are who's going to get hurt.
The advantage they have is, and the only reason I know is because I got it from my mother, is the international packages they offer.
Yes.
That's where they're still keeping their market.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Well, that's part of why I had Sling, is I had gotten the Spanish language package because I could watch AAA wrestling. I could watch, Mexican wrestling on the Spanish language package, but not worth it.
Lucha, lucha, lucha.
It's true. Some of the best wrestling in the world was on that show.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the worst wrestling in the world was on that show.
All right, so what else we got on the docket today?
I'm just gonna lament over all the streaming services we've lost over the last year, and that was really it. Because now I just want to go watch DuckTales. Now that you mentioned DuckTales, now are we talking old school or now?
In fact, the new DuckTales is pretty good. I sat there and binged that, but I'm watching the traditional DuckTales.
Okay. Because there's only a few more episodes of DuckTales left, so it's going to be bittersweet, because I think with tonight's episode, it goes past the number of episodes that the original had, which was like 65. So there's probably not much more they can do, but the story is phenomenal. And if you grew up with that stuff, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, all that, last week's episode had a grown-up version of Cloud Kicker, which was like, well, this is awesome. It was awesome. But I will say that I think the streaming service Quibi, which I talked about last year a little bit, that one died a premature death because when the pandemic rolled around, people weren't on their phones watching videos anymore. They were stuck in their house and they wanted to see it on the TV. And when you streamed it to the TV, there was either A, no video, or B, no audio. And it's hard to watch something when that's the case.
Also, if you're leaning into America's ADHD, you're going to lose to TikTok.
True.
Which is what Quibi did. I mean, really, they were leaning into the fact that we have an 8-minute attention span.
Yeah.
And you're gonna lose to TikTok every time, or YouTube. I mean, you just are. There's no two ways about it. Oh, and by the way, I don't want to watch an action show 8 minutes at a time. I just don't.
Yeah.
So I've been
interested in the Reno 911 reboot. Yeah.
Right. I mean, Donnie Wahlberg cannot tell me a story in 8 minutes. He's physically incapable of it. So, what interest do I have?
There are some shows that I wish they would actually just make them into 8-minute episodes.
Yes.
Where the entire story could actually be told in the 8 minutes. Yeah, I know I brought this up.
Weird question. What is so different with TikTok than what? So it's essentially Vine. Why did Vine go away and TikTok now do the exact same thing?
TikTok originally started off with that, what was it, Musical.ly or something like that?
Yeah, it started off as a place for you to post like
short music videos of just dancing to the music videos. Where Vine was more of let's just do crazy stuff, period. TikTok was hey, let's dance to this silly song and let's see how crazy we can get. And that just evolved.
Okay.
Right.
You might be right where it did become a substitute for Vine. What's very interesting. This is a conversation I was having with somebody else recently. When the older generation asks what Discord is, my very first answer is it's IRQ with video and audio. It's the same as what you guys had for so many years, and that seems to be the same thing with all new platforms. They are just repackaged some of the older stuff we did. We just they package it a little different.
I think the thing about TikTok that is relevant, I guess, is that it's independent. Like in that it's not tied to Twitter like Vine was.
Well,
Even though Vine didn't have to be tied to Twitter, that's how most people used it.
Mm-hmm.
You make a TikTok, you can send it to whatever other platform you want. Oh, and by the way, it'll fit because of the constraints of TikTok. So I think that's part of it. I think too is that it did start with something inherently simple, which is music and dancing to music or music and posting your own music, but limited to 60 seconds. So, it's a bite-sized chunk. And if you can't decide if you like it in 60 seconds, here's another part. You can decide if you like more. And then it evolved into people doing other things. And like I made a TikTok last week where I literally was just sitting on a bench, looking at Lake Erie, and I got 1,000 views. Like, whereas Vine, I would take that video, post it to Twitter, post it to Facebook, post it to Instagram, and I might get seen by 8 people. It's figured out the hashtagging, it's figured out the embed coding, it's figured out the algorithm, that kind of stuff to get it so you can make something really simple and get it spread kind of wide.
So do you all have a TikTok account?
2.
I'm still holding back just because, I don't want the Chinese to have my data. I already know they have my data.
What are they going to do? Fix my credit? If the Chinese want my identity, I'll just come up with a new one. It can't be any worse than the one I got. So I have one for me, and it's primarily I've made one TikTok, and it's primarily just something I can scroll through when I need to turn my brain off for a minute. And most of the people who I see on my TikTok are dogs that can talk. Sports mascots doing dumb things, and people who sing. That's who I follow. So that's a great way. And then we made one for the experience that we've yet to tick any talks on, but we will soon. Once I get the video of Jen rapping or.
You have it. It's just got the basic setup that we have now, which is like upshot my nose.
Right.
But me driving in the car.
Yeah. Once I get that edited down, or we've got some other stuff we're working on for TikTok. Just to use it as promotion for the experience. Like, if we make a TikTok, that's something that's really easy for us to then take and put on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram to share to our followers to promote a thing. So we have a branded page on the TikToks.
When you said you made a TikTok of just sitting on a park bench, it really, to tie this all back together, it reminded me of the time on dinosaurs when they were flipping through. So like the sports channel watching the grass grow. Like the live coverage of watching the grass grow. But it seems like a lot of people, even though they probably could go and sit on a park bench, they would rather just watch someone else do it. Like it's like therapeutic, especially now during the pandemic. It gives you some sort of like sense of connection or escapism. But it also goes back to the whole South Park thing where, why are kids watching someone else play a video game, on a tablet in a room with each other rather than having a conversation. But that's kind of
well, it's like I shared it and Jen saw it, and it's like I've been going to the same park bench for over 15 years now when I need to think or clear my head, or when I was in high school when I wanted to eat lunch by myself. So I would go to this, and it's literally from me to, I don't know. Well, I can't give you a reference because you guys don't know my house, but it's 7 feet from the shore of Lake Erie. Like when it's really windy, the waves will splash up and hit you a little. But when you look out across it, you can see Detroit, you can see Canada, like, and there's a lighthouse, and it's just this really nice kind of view, and it's quiet, and there's nobody there ever. And so I just put some like lo-fi hip hop underneath it, like really kind of chill soundtrack, and I just posted, this is where I like to come to think, and I put some hashtags on it, and done.
You put Informer from Snow, right?
I did not, but I would have if I could have.
So, are you limited to the music they provide, or can you put your own?
You can put your own music up, but I'm not prepared to share anything that I've made. So, like, there's one guy I follow who does songwriting prompts. Like, he'll say, okay, spend 5 minutes working on a song with the lyrics, this is a song for. And you have to use that line and then spend 5 minutes just writing whatever you can write. And then you're encouraged to share it. And so, like, I've done one of those and some of that other kind of stuff that I'll post eventually, but I'm not in a position where I'm going to be sharing anything that I've made. But there are a lot of people who do really cool things. There's a guy, I can't even think of, Nathan Evans is his name. He started the sea shanty trend on TikTok. In case you don't know, like, sea shanties is a huge fad on TikTok. And this dude was a mailman in Scotland. Posted himself singing a sea shanty on TikTok. It went uber viral, and now he's got a recording contract with Polyphone or Polygram or one of the poly labels. Like, just boom. And then what happens is he puts it up, and then he tells people to duet it with him. So now they're singing, the other people are singing other voice parts over his original video. So now there's like 16-part harmonies of this song. And now there's the dubstep remix of the 16-part harmony version of the song. And then there's the country remix. And it's just, it lets everybody kind of put their own little play on it. And a lot of people get noticed from it. And it's cool to watch.
The record label was Polly Want a Cracker. So anyway, WandaVision.
Wow. Good. Wow, Mark.
What, WandaVision? I know, right?
No. That was a joke on my level, and I can really get behind it. I'm just bummed I didn't make it.
Yeah. No, but I do think I would probably listen to that though. But you know what? Like 20 years ago, it would have been on Rhino Records. Let's be honest. But anyway,
I'm not saying it's a great label. I'm just saying it's a label.
Yeah.
Shout out to my friends who still work for Rhino.
So one thing that happened last week was that WandaVision's over, right? And thoughts. Who has thoughts? Miss Jen, let's start with you.
One of my thoughts is that they resolved the thing that I thought would have to happen with the twins if they were going to stay in continuity with what the comic books said was going to happen. And I liked their resolution for that.
Well, we don't know what happens with the twins, right? We know they're no longer, well, the after credits kind of give you the mystery of what could be. Well, I don't know how many people have read the comics, but it could be what's related in the comic book. So there is that possibility. So you're absolutely right on that. I do like the fact that they, debunked every single theory everybody had about where WandaVision was going.
Mm-hmm.
There's no House of M. There's no bringing in the Fantastic Four. There's no bringing in the X-Men. At least not yet. They could tie it all together later. Of course, they can bring Wanda in later and have her just rewrite history all over again. But yeah, it was a sweet ending for what it was. They did a very good job with it. From what you might have heard, it was sad for a lot of people, but it was still a nice ending. I think they did a good job.
Do we know for sure or not if there's going to be a second season?
There's not going to be a second season.
It's just meant to lead into the strange #2 and Captain Marvel #2.
Yep.
Brainy, did you notice? Did you do FOC today or in the last couple days?
Yeah. Well,
Did you look at they had a Scarlet Witch trade paperback that was available, that they made available, that was very specific in the storyline it was telling.
really, I must have missed that. Give me 1 second. Let's check that out.
Yeah. I thought maybe, the people at Marvel knew what was going on and made sure we were having something that made sense for our customers that tied to the ending of WandaVision.
Well, having it on FOC now, well, it's a little bit too late.
But it's as close as they could get without spoiling things, right?
Interesting. Interesting.
You can tell everybody what it is because it's just a description of a trade paperback. So
yeah, but the material that's included in there, I guess you're right. It includes the Doctor Strange: The Last Day of Magic, which is, you're right. That is very interesting. I did not. If anybody wants to read it, I can share that with you guys. But
Kyle, you got thoughts? You've been sitting on it. What's up?
I thought it was a show that had moments of greatness, but in the end, just kind of was meh.
It was a love story.
I didn't, in the end, feel like it was great. I thought it had moments where it was just absolutely brilliant. I thought the 2 post-credit scenes were freaking phenomenal. So good. I'm so amped because of them. But overall, the show was just kind of. And I've been thinking about this a lot, and I got into it with somebody on the internet about it a little bit. And I feel like what Marvel and Disney have done is they walk you up to the precipice of doing something and then go, nah, we're not gonna. Or they take you, they serve themselves up an opportunity to do something and then opt not to. So how hard would it have been, looking back now, for a throwaway line from Agatha that says, when she's still Agnes, "Oh, I used to babysit this kid Reed. Your kids remind me of him, Wanda." And now that's just a subtle little hint to the uber nerds, right? It doesn't mean anything to the average viewer, and nobody cares. But to those of us who are in the know, it's a subtle little nod. And then that confirms, Reed Richards in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It doesn't introduce him, it just confirms that he exists. Right? It's the guy who was playing recast Pietro actually is Agatha's son. You don't have to do anything with him. But just to make him some stoner who lives in the house? No. What are you doing? Why are you giving yourself this opportunity and not taking it? That's become my big problem with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Is they give themselves opportunities to really do something that wouldn't matter that much to the average observer, but would really appease a lot of the hardcore fans. And they never take the opportunity.
So basically, they're wrestling, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And to borrow a sentiment from wrestling and a quote from Glow, which I still wish was coming back for a season 4. The money is in the chase, and I think that's why they leave a lot of stuff on the table like that. I had like a good 4 years of rage about why aren't you guys using Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in a more universal way, because you already had Agent Coulson in the film, so it's not like it'd be a stretch to put the TV actors in the film. But I think like there's like 2 or 3 episodes that did that, and one was the Lady Sif episode, and it was phenomenal, awesome. Right. And so I sort of just at some point just accepted the fact that like they're going to say all this stuff like it's attached and it's this and it's that. The reason they don't want to do the Reed Richards thing is they may not have any idea how they're about to introduce that, and if they do, they're probably sitting on it.
I'm not saying you have to introduce him, just acknowledge his existence.
And
Right? It's not like we're saying we need to see him. It's she just mentions that, and then the people who know who Agatha Harkness is are going to go, "Oh, she's talking about Reed Richards. That means he has to exist in this universe." You figure out how to introduce him later. I don't care. You know, there's just and this guy was coming back at me and he kept saying, "Well, I think the movies and the TV shows are a jumping on point for the average consumer." And I go, "I get that. But to me, this is like making a movie about the American Revolution and all of a sudden putting fighter planes in it. And then saying, well, the American Revolution is just the jumping on point." No, you actually have a problem. You've actually done something that's inconsistent with the reality of it. So why not acknowledge that in subtle little ways while telling whatever story you're going to tell?
this is, one of the issues I have with the continuity guys that always want continuity in the comic books. You've got to give the writers their chance to tell the story the way they want to. And that's how I look at the Marvel universe. It's not the Marvel we know. We've enjoyed it in a different timeline, a different stream. Wherein what they're doing with the Marvel universe and the television, the movies, it's completely different. We're not their target audience. We don't need to be. Remember, our group is very small compared to the rest of the Marvel. I don't know what are these guys called that are fanatics on Marvel movies.
Well, but what I'm saying is it's not. I don't want you to make a movie for me. 7 people will like it, and I'll be 4 of them. Like, I get that. Right? Tell whatever story you're going to tell. Right? It's like The Patriot, the Mel Gibson movie, right? And I'm going to keep going back to the American Revolution because it's a really apropos kind of relationship, right? So The Patriot is a really small, completely fictionalized story that takes place in this real thing that happened. You can tell stories like that in WandaVision. You can tell every bit of the story you told in WandaVision. But what they do in The Patriot is they make little allusions and little references to things that actually happened in the Revolution.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. And that's all I'm saying is make little allusions and little references that people like me go, that's a thing that I know that nobody else knows, and that makes me happy.
And I think that's where all the theories came in through with WandaVision as well, where everybody thought it was going to be House of M coming out or Fantastic Four coming in, because we're so, and look at how disappointed people were. And that's something, if they did do what you were asking, if they brought in Fantastic Four, then never introduced Agatha into the Fantastic Four movies, you're going to be like, hey, where's Agatha? They mentioned her back in WandaVision. Why is she not with Richard anymore? Why is Richard not referring to her? So, it creates a conundrum for them at that point where you try to figure out where the balance is. And I think, at least for the time being, I think they're doing it right.
I understand the logic, but I've never seen a Marvel movie I didn't walk out of disappointed.
Well, I'll still say it's not Justice League, so.
Oh, I've seen many DC movies where I've walked out angry. Disappointed is way better than angry.
And we do pick on DC movies a lot, but they have done a great job on the silver screen, though. So we do have to give DC those props. I think they've done a very good job with all their silver screen, the television shows they've done. At least the animated ones. Young Justice was still great. Oh my God, Teen Titans! I can remember. Teen Titan was good, or Tiny Titans, or whatever they're called. So they have done good stuff. Arrow it kept the continuity going with Arrow and all their tie-ins with that. Smallville was good. So.
So Mark, I actually went and saw a movie this weekend.
Was it Raya and the Last Dragon?
No.
Oh, which was it?
I went to go see Chaos Running, which is great science fiction.
Is that the new Running Man remake?
Hmm?
Is that a Running Man remake?
Nope. So it's Tom Holland and Daisy
Ridley.
Yeah. And the premise of the movie is that this is 200 years in the future, we'll say. And people have been sent to this planet to kind of like be advanced settlers. And you start the film basically after they've been there for a few generations. They've got other people that have been kind of like heading their way in space since, way before even they landed there. So you've got this kind of like cycle of people that are supposed to arrive. The first people that arrived, something happened before you see this part of the film at all. Something happened. We don't know what it is. But there are no women. And the thing that you know is that the men can all hear and see each other's thoughts. So it's not the seeing of thoughts doesn't always happen, but it's a very strong thought. It forms a vision that just like floats in the air above their head. So you can actually see, if they're using a memory, you can see the memory they're having. And so it's a really great kind of like commentary on social things in which like the idea of that the planet itself is a reason why men have this thing happen with their thoughts. It doesn't explain why the women don't, but it has a bunch of unraveling that happens in the movie, which would be very spoilery if I said anything about it, and I won't. But it was really good, great acting. It has a feeling of a movie that was not made during pandemic. So it feels like big budget, big release movie in a big theater, and it was made to be that, not anything else.
Does that also have Mads Mikkelsen in it?
Yeah, he's the main antagonist.
I love him. He's such a great actor.
Yeah.
Well, that trailer really caught my eye because I had not heard about that, and then 2 weeks ago I'm like, what is this? So it does look interesting, sure. And like you said, it looks like it's a big budget movie, even though I'm sure it was not a secure location with a handful of actors. But yeah, again, it's like whenever a sci-fi movie comes out, you can't say too much, right? Because it's like you say one thing and then you just spoil it. But so it has. So you recommend?
Yes, absolutely.
And then Kyle, did you have something else to say about it?
No, I haven't seen the trailer for this movie. I haven't heard anything about it. But the fact that Mads Mikkelsen is in it makes me kind of interested because he's so good. So I might have to try and find this thing somewhere.
Is Hannibal coming back? I just want Hannibal to come back.
No, I think Hannibal's done.
It probably is, but it's
although I did find out that I managed to snag a seat in a retailer friend of ours, of Jen and I's at least, rented out a theater for Godzilla vs. Kong.
Oh yeah,
and I got a seat. So
that's at the end of the month, right?
Chris?
Yeah. And now he and I working out a deal where we'll rent one here in Toledo for the next movie we want to do. And we'll just rotate back and forth between what essentially is Sandusky and Toledo, which is an hour drive, but who cares?
Mm-hmm.
But also, just to go back a few minutes, when you said it's like American Revolution but with fighter pilots, I just kept thinking the new Independence Day. It was second. That's basically what it is. So speaking of box office, though, New York City theaters opened up, so that's one step in Hollywood being comfortable putting out these big movies, which is good. Vaccines are turning out pretty fast, so
I'm done.
Huh?
I'm 2 doses in. I'm done.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, they haven't opened it up all the way in Texas yet. Well, the vaccine list.
Here in Ohio, if starting Thursday, if you're 50 years or older, you can get vaccines, plus type 2 diabetics and a couple of other, what they're calling lesser immune deficient conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So, You know,
Okay.
it's. I think my dad gets his on Thursday. Like,
Awesome.
yeah. So by hopefully 3 weeks from now, my whole family will be vaccinated.
What is does anyone know off the top of their head the population difference between Texas and Ohio?
It's Texas is bigger, but I don't think it's I don't think it's proportionally that different.
Okay. Because
Like,
Texas is like up to 33.7 million. So.
yeah, no, Ohio's like half the size of Texas and about half the population. We're like 14 or 17 million, something like that.
Okay. It's just it's a little bit slow moving here, but when you think about the amount of people and all the major cities, how we're all jammed in there, it's understandable. So
In 2015, well, let me see if I can get a 2021 number here. 11.75 million estimated right now in Ohio. Texas is 28.9 million, according to the federal government. So a little less than half, but
yeah,
we're much smaller in terms of land mass, and we don't have Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, these giant megalith cities. We have freaking Cleveland and Cincinnati, Dayton. You know,
for the first time in a while, I'm feeling hopeful, even though I feel like I would have wished that everyone that wants one can get one before we take that next open up step. But even with that going on, I think that the pacing is it's headed towards the right direction, especially with this Johnson one shot and done.
yeah.
But all
See, and
that being said,
I think what Jen did, I saw her post today. You know, even though they've done it, she's keeping the restrictions in place in her store, is really wise. I think Ohio is moving significantly slower. We've got more I think we've got more people vaccinated probably,
mhm.
but like today, the governor said, "Hey, it's okay to hug your family if they've been vaccinated." Like, that's our level of reopening. He's like, "You can have contact with other humans so long as they have also been vaccinated."
Well, and but what's interesting to go along with that is some of us will have to have that reconditioning of how to act around, not only family members but other people, and like on a serious, like
Yeah.
being serious, because it's like there's been a lot, depending on what stage of your life you were in. I think it's going to have a lot. Like I think kids are going to that year to them is going to be much more significant than it was to me, where I'm like, oh, what?
Mhm.
Wait, did something happen? I was just watching a few seasons of Aaron Sorkin shows on Netflix or whatever, and I turned around and time to go back outside. That's fine.
See,
But
but
like,
I think
People
the
have been
kids that I'm
babies.
around are adapting really well. They understand that, you know, the computer is a thing. Like they've never not had this kind of technology.
yeah,
So they're adapting really well. I think it's going to be people my age who are going to have to learn how to human again. You know, they're going to have to learn that you can't, act in the bar like you can act at your house when you're drunk. You know, it's that you can't talk to people the way you talk on the internet. You can't, that kind of stuff. That we're going to have to learn how to human again.
I think there's an interesting thing where you've got a whole bunch of babies that were born during COVID that probably have no idea that other people have bottom half of their face other than their parents.
yeah, yeah. That's an interesting take.
My nephew is not all about the top half of my face, so we'll figure that out. I mean, he's 4 months old. I mean, he recognizes beard and you smell different than dad, and that's pretty
Yeah.
much it. So he's not all about any of it. So we'll see what happens.
And I've been going into work the whole time, but I do have new coworkers that I've never seen their full face, nor have they seen mine. So even as adults, it'll be like, whoa, wait, who's this person? And then you're going to go, oh, it's Mark. Okay.
Right. Well, it's and what's funny is it's like when I tell this story all the time. I didn't wear a beard until I graduated high school.
uh,
I wasn't allowed in school to wear a beard. So I went away the summer after my senior year and came back with a full beard. And I go into college and I'm running people I knew from high school who were friends and they had no idea who I was. And I realized that this was the greatest tool ever because then the people I didn't want to talk to didn't recognize me. And the people I did want to talk to, I could just go, hey, what's up? And they'd be like, oh, hey. So, the mask is going to be a whole thing. Like, I think I'll probably keep wearing a mask for a while just so I don't have to talk to other people.
Yeah, and it's well, we can think about this next flu season, but it's like, maybe we should wear one during flu season, or maybe on airplanes or something. But I know
I
most
will
people
probably wear a mask for a long time.
yeah. But
I mean, I'm already starting to figure out traveling for like my job for the experience, going to comic stores and, I'm going to go out. We're talking about going out to a art convention, an original art convention and things like this. And I will probably wear a mask even though I'm immune. Like, one, because I'm comfortable in it now. And two, because why take a chance?
Mm-hmm.
and also, if it can reduce con cred, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
sign me up, right?
Right.
We've
And
all
by
had
this
con
point, I've
cred.
collected a bunch of dope masks.
Yeah,
Like, I've spent not insignificant money on masks.
because masks are going to fit right into a convention, right? You can just wear your fandom, on your face and maybe prevent con cred. So,
I have a buddy who 3D printed himself a Mandalorian helmet,
oh, awesome.
and he's got it built in right here so he can just it's got a mask in it. So the visor only comes down to about here, and then it's just black fabric for the mask on the mouth. So he can cosplay as the Mandalorian and still wear his mask.
Perfect.
I'm going to let y'all wrap up the show with comics, so go for it.
Sweet. Right. And a sweet interview with the writer and artist of Nottingham today. So the best way to describe it is like medieval crime noir. So it's there's a serial killer on the loose, and the sheriff of Nottingham is going to try to hunt them down. The killer is killing specifically tax collectors. So it looks bloody and awesome.
I almost sent you a text during that interview, but I wasn't sure if it'd throw you off. Do you know how David, the writer, came to be at Mad Cave?
Do you defend them in some legalities?
No, he won a talent search they did.
Oh, that's awesome.
He submitted like a prose piece and they picked it and then narrowed it down, and then he had to submit like a mini script, and then it's like he won a talent search. And I met him. I didn't realize I knew him until he showed up today, but I met him on a Reed Pop thing months and months and months ago. And he's like, yeah, I have this little thing at Mad Cave, I want a talent search. I can't really talk about it. Oh, okay.
It's crazy because for both the guys, both the writer and the artist, it's their first comic book work. Because the writer is really a lawyer, and the artist is really a very famous musician. So it's just kind of crazy that they both kind of like started their comic book journey doing this, and during this time of they both worked on it during COVID, so they've never had any Comic Con experience whatsoever. They've never been to one to be the guys that have done comic books. So I'm super excited for them, honestly, to be able to experience that someday. I hope they get to. Let's see what else. Blade Runner Origins, Children of Adam. Those are the number ones. There's one called Maiden. It's another number one. Oh, Nonstop Spider-Man. I can't wait to find out what's going on with this thing. There's a lot of buzz, and I don't know anything about it. Proctor Valley Road.
I'm so excited for that book.
Mm-hmm. It's all the number ones, and then there's a bunch of really cool stuff that we've been waiting for. The extra part, like Taskmaster number 4, we finally get to see. Number 3 set the world on fire, and everybody wanted number 3. So I hope that means that other people want to have number 4 now.
What happened in that to set the world on fire?
I have no idea. It became a highly speculated book. I'm sure it's the first appearance of some character.
I'm sorry, what book?
Taskmaster. Number 3.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Hold on. I got a note here somewhere. It was a first appearance, but it also had a. Uh, oh, major death.
Oh.
A major character dies in number
Okay.
3.
Oh, I thought it was the first appearance of Major Death. I got excited.
Well, that'd be cool, but no. It was a first appearance of something, and someone important dies.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So that's why. The other cool things is Deep Beyond number 2. I really like Deep Beyond number 1. I wanted to see more what that's going to develop into. That's a vault book. And I saw something else that made me Carmen number 1.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good. It's not as bad as last week was so many number 1s. My poor customer base. I don't know how they decided what to buy, and how many pints of blood they had to sell to buy it. There was so many stinking books coming out at the same time, like Berserker. Poor folk.
So, just something I'm excited for. Knock 'em Dead has been one of my favorites, and this month is my favorite cover of the book, which is the Steve Martin with the bunny ears cover. Um, Shoot Show number 2 because Jen has changed the name of that. And then a book I've been waiting for since I backed the Kickstarter, and I'm going to yell at Barucci going, where is it? Red Sonja number 1, the commemorative edition with the cover by the Hildebrandt brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Or, well, Greg Hildebrandt. Sorry, I can't say the Hildebrandt brothers anymore. Greg Hildebrandt.
Yeah.
Condolences to Tim. Rest in peace. But then Maniac of New York number 2, which is super exciting. And then the book I'm most excited about from the big 2 is Joker from DC. It sounds like a really good pitch. Aaron Halland gave the pitch on it on his show last night because he's got an exclusive cover. And it is very interesting, the story pitch for this. So, Joker number 1.
I've forgotten. It's so funny because I bring my Diamond invoice, and I always forget there's a whole other company that I should be paying attention to for what's coming out. So I apologize.
Did Mark leave? Did I bore him to death?
I don't know. I think he accidentally got dropped.
Well, I mean, if that's the end, then I suppose do I have to do the reading at the end?
If you have it, if not, we'll sign off non-traditionally.
Oh, I'm sure I have it. I just got to find it in my photos because I saved it off at one point. Here it is. Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, go.
Thank you for watching Nerd News Now as part of the Kingdom of Geekdom on Woodlands Online, sponsored by the Adventure Begins comics and games and Space Cadets Collection. Check out the other shows on Woodlands Online like Best You, Woodlands House and Home, Cooking Off the Cuff with Chef Wayne, The Adventure Begins Show, and Texas Storytellers, just to name a few. You can watch all of these on Woodlands Online and on our partner station KVQT HD21 over the air on your TV. All of these shows and more on your Roku right now. Just add Woodlands Online TV to your streaming lineup. Now you can listen to our podcast show on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts.
Well done. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.